future people! Welcome to Getting Tabled. I'm Jason the Bruce, and that's Brother Bear.
Hey, how you going?
This is Welcome to the Jwar Isle. So, we're up to episode 3 now, and we are going to tackle the friends of your faction, the Ryu.
Yes, the loyal, the true heroes of the story, I guess.
That's what they tell themselves, anyway.
Sure. Okay. All right, Snakey. No problem. We're the biggest snake. We're the dragon.
If there's anything that we've learned from when our video went up in real time, for first thing this morning, it's everybody agrees with my opinion on how friendly the blood of Orochi is, even though that's totally not what I said at the time. I love the fact that argument started again just because the Ito were mentioned at all. Because
it's a good argument to have. But yeah,
to be fair, the person that started that argument did it on purpose to be smart, and I know that he did.
All right, all good.
All right, so yes, we're looking at the samurai today from the 2-player starter set. In that he's about to go out of production. It is actually still on the website. I thought it was gone. This was the other faction that appeared with the Ito. So Prefecture of Ryu.
Yeah, except I think the 2-player starter has 6 models instead of 10, so probably better to get.
It was only 3. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Buying the separate faction is definitely the better way to go.
So this is Ryu. This is my beginner into Bushido, the last edition. And yeah, this faction has a special place in my heart. But
I think it'd be pretty fair to say that this is a popular starter. I mean, for most people that are getting into Bushido, it's your old Hong Kong movies or your Japanese-inspired movies that's usually inspiring you. And to be fair, I mean, if you're going for the Tom Cruise movie, The Last Samurai, this is the faction you're looking at realistically. Love it or hate it, I mean, that is the way that you end up leading, because it's the one that feels like that.
Yeah, so when my back when I was living in Sydney, our gaming group was getting into Bushido before even Minamoto even came out or even sort of hinted at. My friends also got a bunch of different factions. So the temples went, and and someone got this sort of stuff, and someone bought Ito, and someone had Silver Moon, and my mate Steven was like, well, you like the Last Samurai movie, don't you? And I was like, yep. And he goes, and he's like, what faction would you want to do? I was like, oh man, I don't know. I like these guys. These guys look awesome. These guys look awesome because they all do. They're great models. Yeah. And then he goes, well, look, happy birthday. Here's your Prefecture of Ryu. And there was not only myself, another person also had that started, but we went in completely different directions with it, which was quite interesting. I think you mentioned it's sort of like a jack of all trades sort of faction.
Yeah, I mean, every game has a faction like that, and it definitely has a feel of it's jack of all trades, master of none. But I don't mean that necessarily in a negative way, and it's not quite as. I mean, it's not exactly bland like your Ultramarines. There is some feel there. It's just this is the one where this is another one that's an easy step-off point because you can kind of do anything you want with them, sort of. But they don't really specialise in it. They're not the super fast guys. They're not the most ultimate in defence. They kind of have a little bit of everything.
Yeah, you've got a lot of option. We mentioned how Ito had a lot of option. These guys got even more because they were right at the beginning. I think they were the first faction. But yeah, no, they're great. So I do really like the star set. There's different ways you can go. You can go all samurai. You can go all. There are military factions, so you can go all samurai. You can go all ashigaru. You can go a bunch of spellcasters. They even have access to a ninja. Probably I reckon one of the best ninjas available, which is really, really cool. But no, I definitely reckon. So if you were to be a beginner and you're like, I don't know what to do, they're basically your Space Marines. That you can take them however you want. You can go, combat heavy, like Space Wolves. You can go, you can go shooting like I don't know, insert Space Marine faction that does well at shooting. But yeah, you can do a lot, and there's a lot of. In fact, I played a game recently against there's still the fox in my group, Craig, and he took 9 Ashigaru models against my Minamoto samurai, and I couldn't do anything. He out activated me. I couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
For such cheap troops, they pack a lot of punch, and that's his that's his strength as a player. He knows like with this cheap guy, I'm going to go toe to toe with a 20-point samurai, and I'm just going to push it away because I'm not going to win a straight fight. But just the sheer amount of
he's
reach.
Just going to annoy you to death.
Oh, it was frustrating because I move up, I got pushed back out of combat, and I was just not effective. Plus, he had a whole bunch of lucky dice rolls. But yeah, no,
I don't get those.
They're great. So with the start, did you? I'll tell you, did you want to go first this time? I think I went first last time.
Sure. So I'm just gonna start at the very start. One thing that you do seem to see a lot of. Feint is common. It's not on everything. Prowess is there a lot as well. But they're not. It's not sidestep defense, but it certainly is a decent thing to have. But is there any other things that stand out? Like, that's really the only 2 big ones that I noticed, and even then, it's not on everything.
I reckon these guys have a lot of access to push attack. They'll have a lot of access to reach. They've got probably the strongest range weapon in the game. I mean, sure, it takes a lot longer. The big, if you want to put up a picture below us, of the big rifle guy with the the gunpowder there.
Hiramasa.
Yeah, he does a lot of damage when he hits. But that strong gunpowder. But they've got also access to a lot of like push defense, push attack. Like you can tailor this faction to however you want. I just can't stress that enough.
No, yeah. So rules wise, I'm going to start with Akira. And I can't say Akira without quoting the movie because it's just a crime. I only learnt recently that apparently Akira is essentially the equivalent to John as far as names. Apparently it's a really common name, or it was when that movie was made, which apparently is the point. But of course, I've never lived in Japan, so that was lost on me.
What I'll also point out is with this faction, you've got the Takashi family, which is basically like the royal family of the samurai there.
Yep.
So a lot of people. So get used to saying Takashi a lot. All of their samurai basically start with it, just like Minamoto have Minamoto. But
yeah. If you are a person that had the board game that GCT Studios did, then you will actually recognise that as the owner of the temples in Rise of the Kage that you were trying to infiltrate and steal people or information from. However, so we have Takashi Akira. He's going to cost you 18 rice. He's got 4 melee, 4 inches movement. He has 6 wounds. He's got 3 range. Not yet you're going to be using it. He starts with 2 ki. He can get up to 8. He's got +1 on his katana, which has critical attack 1 and the push defense that you mentioned.
Critical attack.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Critical attack. Yep.
Yeah, so critical attack, for those who don't know, it's basically very cinematic. Like when you're declaring to use it, you're basically trying to cut off the opponent's head. So in your damage roll, if you roll 2 dice in your damage roll, if you roll 2 dice and they're the same number, the opponent's model is instantly removed, regardless of wounds. It's amazing. It's a little hard to rely on because you're relying on that pure luck of dice, which we've spoken about. Yeah. But when you pull it off, it's amazing. It's really, really good.
For me, you're starting with 4 dice, which helps. But for me, with something like critical attack, I'd be wanting to wait until I can afford to boost the attack to 5, so that I can then afford to lose that 1 die. Because then you got a bigger chance of getting that. That's just the way that I would play, because dice hate me But in saying that, if anybody was to get double ones, it's going to be me. So
There you go.
D6s. I don't know why I love this game so much. D6s have been trying to kill me for years. I got distracted. Where were we? Oh, that's right. Armor
there is
3.
a theme. Sorry, yeah. I'll mention this theme after this, so go ahead.
Armor 3, bravery, resistance, prowess, melee, and then I will go into his key abilities once you wanted to talk about a theme.
Yeah, sure. So the theme that I was going to mention is called Blood of the Dragon, and basically you're taking samurai, ronin, kami, like the spellcasters, but basically it gives you access to. It basically says friendly models reduce the cost of critical attack by 1 to a minimum of 0. So if you wanted to lean into that, you really, really could.
Yeah, no, that definitely would help.
See why why I mean that this faction is very flexible.
Yeah.
Go ahead with this key feat. So Dokoti.
Yeah. So Dokoti. This model gains Feint 1 until the end of its current activation. So that means during your melee exchanges, the model may pick one defense roll rolled by its opponent to be re-rolled. It's a really annoying trick that your opponent will almost always forget about.
Yeah.
He also has hack, which means the model's melee weapon gains powerful attack 0 until the current activation is resolved. Powerful attack is definitely a nice addition. It does cost you 2 key on both of these though.
Yeah, but I mean he's generating 2 key a turn, so he'll bank up pretty quickly. So just letting you know, with those 2 key feats, they are both active, which means you have to be the active model. You can't do it if like someone's attacking you. There was something, I think someone asked a question in the Discord about sort of what do the symbols mean, and they messaged me, and I sort of thought I'd raise it. For 18 Rice, I mean he's no hero, but he's pretty good. I mean,
he's definitely very good for the Rice.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not cheap, but he's. Whereas some of the big models in the starter sets can kind of feel like, okay, it's okay, but I can take better options. For 18 Rice, you're not getting a lot of other things that you're going to be going, well, this just doesn't compare. This compares quite nicely. Yeah, assuming that you want to go in this direction, of course.
Yeah. So, I mean, for the starter set, he's your heavy hitter. Like he's your combat dude. He's your go-to guy.
Yeah.
But I mean, for 18 Rice, he's pretty good. There are heaps of samurai models out there, and you can tailor your list however you want to do sort of things. But for a starter set, I reckon he's a good tool to have.
Yeah.
In your toolkit.
As far as tailoring is concerned, do you want to go on to our next guy, which is the other potential leader that you'll be theming things around? Mr. Gun? Yeah. This is my favourite model in the box, just to be purely on aesthetics.
Yeah. He's an Ashigaru Gunzo, so he's a sergeant. Basically, he leads the Ashigaru. There's other Gunzos that also help out. For 16 Rice, he's got 3 combat. He can boost that for 3 key. Not bad. Movement of 4. He's got 6 wounds, which is the typical stock standard for Ryu, so you'll probably see that a lot. 2 range. He can boost it for 3. I mean, you can make his pistol better if you really want to get that shot off. 2 key, he can hold up to 6. He's got the Yarai, which has got reach, which is good. He's got +1 strength, which is even which is helpful. He's got push attack 0, which is good, and he's got powerful attack 1, which is pretty good. So you can actually make that his weapon a little bit stronger. Let's talk about his ranged weapon. So the pistol, it's got armor piercing 2. So that's if you're shooting someone who has armor, you're reducing that by 2. Which for me, that would suck. For Minamoto, I should say. His range has got +2 strength. His range band is 3, 6, and 9. So close range. It's a close range weapon. It's a pistol after all. It's got reload 2, which means you're going to takes a little bit longer to reload those. He's got armor 2, so not a samurai. He's got bravery, which is always good. He's got leadership Ashigaru. So he gives everyone within 6, every Ashigaru model within 6 +1 leadership, which is always handy. And he's got veteran. We touched on veteran previously, but I'll read it out again. So this model does not suffer melee dice penalties due to stats until the current melee exchange is resolved. And that's a 1 key feat, and it's instant, so it can be done anytime. That's not bad. He's got a unique effect, which is whilst in face-to-face contact with a friendly Ashigaru, gain steadfast. And steadfast, we've mentioned in the Minamoto one, you can allocate your dice even if you fail a figure test, which is pretty good.
Yeah. This guy, the thing I really like about this guy is a lot of the ranged guys, when you're reloading them, essentially become useless. Not entirely, but they don't become as useful. This guy still holds his own 100% while he's reloading. Like, he still has 3 dice when he's reloading, and that really says a lot. This is a steal for 16 rice, I feel.
Yeah, so usually your 16 rice models are usually going to be like a 3 attack, unless they lean heavily into one certain particular way. But yeah, no, he's a competent fighter, 3 dice, and he can boost it, which is always good. But the fact that he can generate 2 key, I think if he was to only generate 1 key a turn, I wouldn't even look at him, because he's got so much that you want to do with him that, like, you need that key. But for 16 rice, you're right. He's a steal, and he's on a 30mm base. Majority of your models will be all on 30mm bases for Ryu, unless you take the dragon. But yeah, no, he's a good tool to have in your toolkit, and depending on how you want to go, he'll be very, very useful for you.
Is he going to appear in every list? Well, if you focus in the wrong direction, no. But this guy is going to be a very good option for a lot of people. Obviously, if you're going all samurai, you're not going to take this guy. But make no mistake, Hiro Masa belongs in a lot of lists. He's very good.
Yeah, because he benefits the other model in the faction. Did you want to touch on Ima?
Yes. So, Ima. I'm not 100% sure on that either.
Tomato.
Yeah. She's 6 rice. So this is just like, she's an Ashigaru, but let's not make any mistake about this. This is a trainee that's picked up their weapon for the first time, realistically. Hence the massively nervous look on her face, and she doesn't look very confident. It's even in the model. It's really well done how they've sculpted her. She's kind of like holding her weapon nervously and everything. It's really good. She has 2 melee. She's still moving 4. She's only got 5 wounds, so she is the weaker of them. Again, 6 rice, so you should be expecting that. 1 ranged. She generates 1 key, top maximum of 6. She has a training spear. Literally, she's in training. There's no special abilities on that. There's no strength bonuses. She does have bravery, which is good, and an ability called Genki. So, Genki gives you a charging bonus, fearless, but you lose the Ashigaru type until the end of the model activation. When this model makes a charge action, it automatically succeeds when taking fear tests and has immune. So she can focus and become really, like, she can really focus on one thing, but she kind of forgets everything else because she's in training. Yeah. Her unique effects is that she cannot declare disengage actions, which is, she's in training. She's not really that good yet, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
I actually like Ima. Like, Ima is definitely the weaker model in the box, but I actually like Ima.
Yeah, for 6 rice, she's really good, and the fact that she can, Hiromasta will give her benefits, so that makes her a little bit more of a potent sort of fighter. Like +1 leadership is nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah.
But like the fact that also she has that ability, and it costs 1 key, but just to gain fearless, that's pretty good. I mean, it doesn't tie into his ability, but like if she was to use it, but I mean, if you were to throw her into something that you just wanted to keep away from from a zone or an objective, just throw her in there and just throw defense dice and be like, yep, cool, I'm just going to sit here and, be in combat with you.
Yep.
For 6 rice, she can hold her own. I mean, 2 attack, it's very, very low, but I mean, she can, she's your throwaway sort of piece in this sort of box set. But
that's the thing. If you lose this in a melee, it's only 6 rice that you've lost. It's even like some of the 10 model. So even some of the 10 rice things that you do get out there in the game, sometimes it's a sacrificial piece. This is only 6.
Yeah, and also in a box set where you've got such potent fighters, and you're probably start seeing the red mist, and you'll start going into combat. You want a model that will hang back potentially, because she's only got movement 4, and go prey on some idols or something like that. And for 6 rice, I mean, you don't care if you lose her. She's versatile. Like you've got options of what you want to do. I'll touch on that one. I'm going to touch on Takashi Mika.
Yep.
Samurai. So she's a female samurai. She's a very nice looking model as well. Just like the way that her robes are sort of flowing is actually quite cool.
Yeah.
A bit of a joy to paint. She's 14 right. She's 3 melee, which is pretty good. She can boost out for 3 key. Movement 4. She's got 6 wounds, range 3, generates 2 key, holds 6. Not bad. She's got her katana, which is +1 strength. She's got push attack 0, which is really, really good. And she's got critical strike 1. So she can also be a potentially potent fighter. Yeah. She's got bravery, parry 1, and she's got melee prowess 1 as well. So parry 1, I'll let you roll. This model adds 1 to the highest defense dice roll when calculating. So, she has that little perk, which is pretty good. Yeah. She's got Dakota as well, so she gets feint 1 until the current activation, so that's pretty cool. And she's also got a unique effect. So if this model places all melee dice in attack, it gains brutal 1. So if she was until the end of the melee exchange, as you mentioned. Yeah. So if she was to go into a model that's exhausted and just put all of her attacks, all of her attack dice into attack, you're getting brutal, which is pretty good.
Yeah. It's a risky move to make, but if you set that up right, that's very good. Yeah.
So she will be the 4th model in the starter set. She's actually pretty cool.
Yeah. And then finally up we have Takashi Tetsuya, which is 15 rice. He's also got 3 melee. He can boost it for 3. He's also moving 4. He's got 6 wounds. He's got 2 in ranged. He generates 2 key, can hold 6. His katana is also +1. Getting a lot of feeling of the same in this one. He's got force back attack, however, and push defense. Both of those cost you nothing. He's got bravery, feint 1, so he comes with feint already. Prowess, melee 1. And he's got an ability, which I'm going to say Iatsuju. I'm probably saying it wrong. I'm pretty sure it's meant to be an I. This model's melee weapon gains reach until the end of its current melee exchange. That's really nasty. This costs you 1 key, and it's an instant. So in theory, and I'm totally taking this from Ben, having mentioned it earlier, I could be fighting Ben. Are you taking anything special? No. But because this is an instant, so long as I do it before the dice rolls, I can still use this. I mean, I don't think you're going to fool many people when they've seen it, but they could totally not be ready for it, and it would be really annoying.
Yeah, so it's pretty good. So if I was to be in combat with you, and I would be the active model, you gain reach, which means we finish your activation first before we do mine. And if you were to use force back attack or probably I wouldn't use force back attack. Or push defense, you can just basically push me out of a zone of control or away from like an objective. And if you were to do force back attack, you would sort of push me back, and then you would follow up.
Yeah.
So if you want, I mean, it has its perks. He's very flexible with his combat. Um, he doesn't have armor, but I mean, like a lot of the starters models in this box set, apart from certain ones, won't have armor. But yeah, for
Yeah.
15 rush, he's really really good. Um, and we talked about what we would potentially add to this starter box set, and I think we sort of went a little samurai heavy. And I talked about adding, sorry, what's his name? Takashi Kazu.
Kazuo? Yep.
Kazuo, sorry. So he's got a very similar pose to Tetsuo, but he's got 14 rice, no armor again. He's got 3 attack, boost that for 3, movement 4. He's got 6 health, katana, force back attack, and push defense, which is again same as what he does. Boosts. So he's got 2 key, hold 6. But this model's got bravery, melee prowess, so he gets to re-roll 1 dice, either defense or attack in combat. But he's got detect for 2 key, and it's a pulse of 6. So choose a model in the pulse range, and that model loses camouflage until the end phase. If you're playing ninjas, this is a really good model in your to have. And we also liked him because of total loyalty. So for 2 key, this model gains bodyguard samurai 2 inches until the end phase. So when this model declares using bodyguard, it gains fearless until the current activation is resolved.
Yeah.
So if you could, so it's samurai. So half of your models in this box set are samurai. So like this, I thought this would be a good inclusion to have because of that ability.
Yeah,
So
I agree. Bodyguard is extremely useful when you can get it. Obviously, you need a model that's going to be defending things that you have on the table, which in this case it does. But if you had only Ashigaru, then obviously this wouldn't be very useful to you.
Correct. But I mean, just the fact that you can select a samurai or a shisei if you wanted to go down that path down the line. It's really good to have because you can just go, no, you're fighting me, not this one, which is really really good.
Next up, we had Matsu, which is going in a little bit of a different direction. So Takashi Matsu has 17 rice. She's a samurai and a shugenja. She has 2 melee. She moves 4. She's got 5 wounds. She's got 3 ranged, and she can boost it for 3. She generates 2 ki. She can hold 6. She's unarmed, so her melee attack is -2 strength. However, she has a magic ability called Call Lightning, so she can Thor up everybody around her. Well, within range. She's got 3, 6, and 9, so it is a little bit short-ranged. But that's potentially very, very nasty. She got prowess, melee, range defense 1, resistance, and she has 6th sense. She has Raigen's Rage for 2. When this model makes a successful ranged attack, after the attack is resolved, but before its activation ends, it may make an additional attack against a model within 3 inches of the last model. So you've essentially got chain lightning here. This ranged attack is considered in medium range band and ignores range, line of sight, and camouflage. So this is also another way to get around your ninjas if you need to. She's also got force manipulation. When this model declares a ranged attack, choose one of the following until the ranged attack action is resolved. So she could either have ranged weapon band becomes 4, 8, and 12 instead of the 3, 6, and 9, or range strength +1, or this model's range weapon gains slam attack 0. And basically, you'd be picking whichever one works in the particular scenario that you're in. I suspect that people would be heavily using this to get some more range on it. But if you're already close to something, then obviously you're going to go the other way.
Slam attack
She's nasty.
Is pretty good. The fact that not only do you do the damage, but you can also push the opponents away, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. She's definitely not Chun-Li. Definitely not Chun-Li at all with her hairbands.
Yeah. She could very well be. But yeah, no, she is a great model. And I liked her as an option to take just because it gives you some range. Because from your starter, you don't have a lot.
No.
If you, if you wanted to go, like the regular foot soldiers, the Ashigaru gun guys, they've got some they are really good. But yeah, I thought she's a samurai. She has that magic ability. It's really good. I like her a lot.
Yeah.
Um,
These things will bring you up to 99 rice. We do have a couple of options that you can look at. One of the ones that we had discussed was Hanso, but this is someone that you would definitely be wanting to make some more alterations to your list around. Hanso is an Ashigaru Gunso, so he's also a sergeant. He costs you 18 rice. So, you got 3 melee, 4 movement. This guy has 7 wounds. He's got 2 ranged that you're not going to be using. He generates 2 ki, and he can hold 6. You can boost his melee for 3. He has an Odachi, which gives you +2 strength, and it's got powerful attack 1. He's got armor 2, bravery, command Ashigaru. His bubble is 8 inches, and it's 2. He's also got leadership Ashigaru, 1 within 8 inches, and tactician. And he's got 2 abilities that are quite nasty. He's got cleave, costs you 2 ki, and you need to be the active player. This model gains brutal 2 until the current activation is resolved. And the one I really like is move it. So this one costs you 4. This is the one that you're going to have to save up for. This model's controller can choose up to 3 other friendly Ashigaru models within the pulse area, which is 8 inches. Those models immediately perform a walk action and walk up to their movement stat in inches. So if you're going to be taking this guy, it will mean that you will have to drop your well, you don't have to, but you would be smarter to drop your samurai and build an Ashigaru list. But this is definitely a direction to be going in.
Or if you were to go, a potent samurai as well as Hanzo and a bunch of Ashigaru, like the spearmen or the cheap Goshi guys,
yeah,
or inclusive with Ima as well. Also, this includes Hiroshima, so he's an Ashigaru as well for Hanzo, so he can order him around too. So Hanzo is really good for 18 rice. Brutal 2. And +2 strength on his weapon. Yeah, he's really good.
Yeah.
We also talked about if you were to go sort of or if you wanted to add a potential a good fighter, there's a couple of different ones. I personally I like Takashi Hiro, who's 22 rice. He came in the old starter as well as Hanzo, but there's actually a new risen model that you can get from GCT Studios. He's got a way better, a nicer looking model compared to his older one.
You can still buy his old one. I don't know why, but you can still buy his old one.
Yeah, well, I mean, the old model comes with an optional head and sword, so you can actually have a flaming sword and an old gentleman's head, which is really cool. But I would always put the helmeted one and just the traditional katana. So Hero's 22 rice, so he's a little bit more pricey. He's melee 4. You can boost that for 3. He's got movement of 4. He's got 6 health. Range 4 can boost that for 3. So if you were to give him a weapon, and there's some cards in the special card pack that you can give weapons to, you can give that to him if you want it. Generates 2 ki, holds 8. His katana has +1 strength. He's got critical attack 0, so he's got it for free.
Yep.
He's got powerful attack 1, and he's got push defense 0. He's got armor 3, bravery, leadership for prefecture, so anybody within 8 inches gets +1 strength. He's got melee prowess 1, and he's got resistance 1, which is pretty good. He's got Dokote, so feint, for 2 ki. He's also got 10 Uchi, which is this model gains unblockable 1 until the current activation for 3 ki. That's really good. Then he's got Umbrella block, which is 2 instant and getting parry 1.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah, especially for the 8 rice, he's very potent. He also comes with an extra card, Hair by Blood. Basically, you attach this to him, and it means that he gains the Ashigaru type. And the following key feat. Inspiration. Target friendly faction models with a rice cost of less than this model gain +1 to its melee pool and ranged pool until the end of phase. But it can only be used on him. So this opens him up to pretty much joining any list that you want, really. That would, potentially, if you wanted to take this guy with an Ashigaru, it means that he costs you 1 more. So it makes him 23 rice. But even then, this guy is nuts good. He's really, really good.
So in the lore, Hero is basically, he's all about his troops, and he's all about working together as a common goal. He eats with his men. He's even as a samurai, like he talks to them like they're friends. His men are loyal to him in that way. So he's a very good character to have. If you wanted to, plus also if you wanted to go samurai heavy, he's probably one of the most probably one of your strongest samurai.
Yeah.
There is also another one a samurai that we talked about. Do you want to bring up Takashi
Hagane?
Hagane? Yeah.
Yep. So, Takashi Hagane is 19 rice, so she's not quite as expensive as Hero. She has 4 melee. She's still moving 4. She's still got 6 health. She's got 3 ranged. She generates 2 ki but can hold 6. She has twin katana. +1 strength. Yep. She's got combo attack 0, counter strike defense 1, push defense 0. So she's getting a couple of really nice abilities there for nothing. Armor 3, bravery, charging bonus fearless, indomitable 1, prowess melee, parry, resistance, and split attack. And we already know that you love split attack.
Yeah.
She has the same Dakote that the others have had that we've covered a couple of times now. She also has that same Iojutsu rule that gives her reach. She also has precision strike that gives her pierce 1 on top of everything else. She also comes with air by deed.
Yep.
So she gains bonsai. Friendly faction samurai model gains charging bonus fearless when they begin their activation within line of sight to the attached model. But it can only be used for her, and it does cost 2. I'd almost argue that she's a must-take if you were building pure samurai. For that alone.
Yeah.
All they need is line of sight. There's no range attached to that.
Yeah. Or to be fair, you could take both if you really wanted to. So.
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah. So Hagane. So in the lore, so there's a sort of rivalry between Hero and her, and she's all about getting the job done, no matter what the costs. If she has to sacrifice, a bunch of lives or thousands of troops, she will, as long as they win. Whereas Hero is all, as we mentioned, all about his troops. So she's a potent fighter. She's nuts. Combo attack, split attack. She's great. If you have the chance to get the model from the Rising Sun model compared to the old model, I would strongly suggest it. It's a way nicer model. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Her original model is a little lackluster, but
it's also a very old model, the old one though too. But it shows its age.
Yeah, but if you look at her new profile, so if you could bring up a picture, you'll just see it's just she's exquisite.
Yeah.
Yes.
When it comes to those two models, I would probably argue that regardless of which direction you want to take your faction ultimately, both of these are things that you're going to need to own at some point. You don't need them to start with unless you're going in those directions, but you will have to buy these. They're too good not to own them. You're not always going to use them because it depends on how you want to go. But there's certain models that you have to own, and that's definitely these two are definitely that for the Ryu.
So I have a bunch. So I have a large amount of samurai, like pretty much all the samurai models that this faction own.
That really surprises me knowing you, Ben. I mean, you hate the samurai normally.
But I mean, to be fair, after my game the other day against Craig, I have started to like reach out and go like, okay, I need to bolster these party fighters with some cheap troops, and lessons learned. You learn from your mistakes.
Pretty much the only way.
Mm-hmm.
The only other one I was going to bring up, just on the Ashigaru front, is one of their cheaper models. So the Ryu House Guard, which is a model that, if you own the Rise of Kage, you will recognise. This will cost you 10 rice. This is a very, very simple model, but it's an Ashigaru, which is the important thing. 3 melee, 4 movement. They each have 6 health. You can take 2 of them. 2 ranged. They regenerate 1 key, can hold 6. He's got a Yari, which has no strength bonuses. It does, however, have reach and push attack 0. And he's aware. And aware is really nice because it makes it really hard to sneak up on them and stuff. Alert, they also have. Target model gains aware and range defense 1 until the end phase. It's an instant and it costs you 2. The target needs to be within 6 inches. So this also has the ability to instantly support things around it. So if your guy's being snuck on from behind, he can kind of go, hey, look out behind you, and the guy's not getting his he's not losing his thing because of surprise and stuff, which is nice.
It's a good little key feat to have and an option to have there.
It's a nice little. I mean, look, he can still hold. Like, he's not going to defeat 20 points of models, but he can still hold his own. It's only costing you 10 rice. If you need to fill a spot, it's a quality one to do it with.
Yeah, the big lesson you got to learn about this game is you don't win games by killing models. I mean, if you kill your opponent's models, like, they're not going to be able to do objectives. But you play the mission, and you try to retain activation counters and stuff like that, and you'll be activations for your models, and that's how you sort of win. But yeah, this faction, if someone was to look at the wiki and see the amount of options for them for Ryu, like there are heaps, and you can go anywhere. They've got trained dog models. They've got a large amount of options here. They got, as we said, master, jack of all trades, and then if you, depending on which way you wanted to go, you could make some potent lists. Some really cool things.
I've got a couple of the themes up here, just to kind of touch on what we were starting with. There's the Prefecture Patrol, which is the standard one that comes with your box, your starter box. The theme is that your models models with leadership gain leadership +0 +2 inches. So they all get an extra 2 inches on all of their bubbles. And in the starter phase, you gain a pass token for each friendly model that was recruited into the warband that's currently removed from play. So if you've got someone that's not starting on the board, it means that you're not taking that sacrifice for it, I guess, is the big thing there. The other one I brought up, I mean, they do have a few, but the other one I brought up was Blood of the Dragon, because we'd been talking about it off camera. All models gain double key during the first turn's key generation step. If a friendly model fails a fear test after the activation ends, it gains fearless until the end of phase. Friendly models reduce the dice cost of critical strike attack 1 to a minimum of 0. However, you can only take Samurai, Ronin Kami, Shugenja, and Ronin Seisen Nagawi. So you can't take this with an Amigaru force, essentially. This is very much designed for this is your high-end troops option. So there's some really good things in both. I mean, there's good things in all of them, but they're the ones that I wanted to touch on because they're the ones that kind of fit with what we've been discussing.
Yeah, there's a bunch of options there. If you wanted to also bring up the other theme, which is Claws of the Dragon, this is what would make your Ashigaru even more potent. So during with Claws of the Dragon, during each starting phase, choose one Ashigaru model that gains coordinated attack with Ashigaru until the end phase. So with coordinated attack, if you move into combat and you've already got an Ashigaru in there, you gain +1 melee pool. Makes your cheaper fighters way better. Friendly Ashigaru model gains Scout for 2 inches. So everyone with Ashigaru trait moves when you're deploying. Is placed 2 inches from the deployment zone. Makes them closer to the objectives, which is great. And once per game in the starting phase, all Ashigaru gain Tough 1 until the end phase. That's just fantastic. Like, on your cheap troops, you're making them even better. So
you can take Shisei's with this as well. So you don't have to only take. You do have something in there that can back up your Ashigaru if you feel that you need it.
Yeah, there's a nice couple of like Shisei models that provide healing as well. So there's a lot of options here. Great faction for a starter.
Yeah,
or a beginner.
Like with the rest of the factions, we would definitely be recommending to buy the special cards deck with pretty much all of them, and we're going to continue saying that with everybody, and probably the cycle deck as well, because they have good options there for pretty much everything. Thank you very much for checking out this video. If you're enjoying the content of this channel, please like and subscribe. If you're in a position to do so, please check out patreon.com/gettingtabled. You receive early access to at least 80% of all videos that we put out, and you get access to the video edition of all of our podcasts the day that they're uploaded. If you'd like to check us out on social media, facebook.com/gettingtabled is the most active. We also have a Discord server. You can email our team at gettingtabled@gmail.com. If you're on either Twitter or Instagram, you can find us at gettingtabled. And until next time, play more games.
Yeah.
And not one single guy in a white gi with a red little belt around it. I'm very disappointed.
To be fair, you could, if you wanted to, you could paint your models that way.
True. That's actually a good point. I'd paint one red with a white belt just to annoy people.